so I don't know how this is going to come through using the Bell Eliminator helmet, but I wanted to talk about why I bought a CB650R as my first big bike. So if you've seen my previous video, you guys will know that I've been riding on a full UK license for all of about 8 weeks, about 9 weeks now. It's been about 10 days since I posted my last video. And I've got some errands to do because I need to pick up a prescription. So I thought I'd just talk some shit whilst I do that, and so I chucked the camera on my helmet. And yeah, the reason why I bought a CB650R, there's obviously a lot of these reasons are going to be very subjective. Partially I think it's a very pretty bike and I like pretty things, so I wanted a pretty bike. And I had a look at many options. I actually learnt to ride and did all of my lessons and bits like that on a Suzuki SV650, which I think is an awesome bike. But one of the things that I found on that bike is the accelerator was very, very choppy and not particularly smooth. And I find the accelerator on a 4-cylinder, because the power is made much higher in the rev range, I found it much smoother at this sort of speed and doing this sort of riding around, which is a fair proportion of what I do, and actually where I think I'm most likely to, you know, make a stupid mistake is when I'm riding at lower speeds, because it's, you know, the patting your head and rubbing your stomach mentality, isn't it? It's a new skill that you're learning and continuously trying to improve. So yeah, it's just working out what's best for you really, and you know, what you're more comfortable with. I had a go on an MT-07 when I was learning to ride, and I had to go on a street triple when I was learning to ride, and you know, the street triple is a proper weapon. Very rapidly realised that was beyond what I want for my first bike, just because I don't think I'm skilled enough to own and operate a vehicle like a street triple as my first big bike. That may be different for you. I'm not here to tell you what you should and shouldn't. If you think you're good enough to get on a 1000cc race bike, or on a nice 800cc street triple, or whatever tickles your fancy and what you think you are capable enough to ride, do so. But you know, for me, at my skill level, I don't think I was ready for that sort of bike. I wanted something that was quick, you know, and don't get me wrong, this is around about 90 horsepower, I think, in this current setup, and I think that's plenty fast enough for me. But you know, at this speed, you know, around the 3 to 4,000 RPM, pootling along, it's not trying to pull my arms off. Whereas, you know, or I personally feel like I could get myself into trouble riding a bike with lower down torque range. And I know that there's lots of people who say that's where all the fun is and stuff like that. Personally, I disagree. I think that I get more enjoyment out of riding the bike a bit quicker and pushing it higher up the power band, but that's just me. That's my experience on this bike, right? I'm sure if I did buy one of the other bikes, I'd be saying, you know, the reason why I bought that is because the torque curve and everything like that, completely opposite to this. But the reality is I was being cautious, and I think that this is the better option. Although it's got a higher horsepower, you've got to work it more to get up there, in my opinion. And that's all this is. Obviously, I'm certainly not an expert. I've only been riding, you know, a couple of months. But yeah, that's kind of what I went with. And I did the usual thing. I watched every YouTube video on every kind of 650 bike there is known to man. And that's what I went with in the end. And it was a couple of test rides and a couple of bits of playing around and things like that, and I came to the conclusion that this is the one for me. And then there was a deal where it came up really, really cheap. Well, really, really cheap for what I got. And I saved a not insignificant amount of money because it had a few miles on it. And yeah, I'm very okay with that. And besides that, it was, you know, this bike's just nice, and I wanted something I wanted to play with, so I knew when I bought this bike that I wanted to put on the Black Widow exhaust. I wanted to put on the silly little screen and the tank pads and stuff like that, and I've got the exhaust on at the moment. I've been running it without a tune using a Black Widow exhaust for about 8 weeks now. It's actually booked in a week's time to go on for an ECU map. They're not cheap. It's probably about the same price as the exhaust actually, but I just, you know, I've put a couple of thousand miles on this bike already, and I want to make sure that she stays healthy and well looked after throughout her life with me, which is probably going to be a very long time. Is the other side of it, is I intend on having this bike for quite a while. It's my first big bike, and it's already very, very sentimental to me, so God knows what I'll be like after a couple of years. I am one of those people, I get quite attached to inanimate objects because, you know, I'm a bit weird like that, as I'm sure most of you are. People get very attached to their bikes, and quite rightly so. They are awesome, and you ride them like they're an extension of your body, which, you know, this thing is rapidly feeling that way to me. I feel very, very confident and comfortable on it. I went for a very cool ride for over a course of a couple of days from here in Milton Keynes to Bell Lake in Wales, which is a couple of 100 miles each way, and we did some riding around the Snowdonia National Park and bits like that. And I was riding with a couple of very experienced riders. They've both got, you know, 20+ years on bikes and things like that, and just the amount that I learned on that ride was insane. And you know, it's stuff that you would figure out as you're riding around normally, but I learned this because I was riding with experienced guys. We were all on comms, we all had our headsets on, and we were all talking to each other, and as I was going into things, they were calling out and saying, oh, well, you should try doing this, have a look at this. And you know, and they aren't trying to, you know, neither of them claim to be the best rider in the world, quite the opposite, but they were very confidence inspiring, and you know, these are good mates of mine. Neither of them are interested in seeing me in hospital or hurt or anything like that. They're not looking to see me push my limits or anything like that. They very much just want to see me become a more competent and comfortable rider, which, if you've got some friends like that, go riding with them. If you've got some friends who want to push you and see you go as fast as humanly possible, and, you know, get outside your comfort zone as soon as you get on the bike, I personally wouldn't go riding with them. I think that's a little on the dangerous side, if I'm honest with you. But, you know, I am a little bit risk averse. I'm getting, as I said before, I'm a bit of an old sod. I'm getting on to 40, and, you know, I'm at that stage where broken bones take a really long time to heal now, and it's only getting worse. And, you know, my last big break, I did, you know, part of my shoulder and collarbone and shoulder blade and a few other bits and pieces, and that just took months and months to recover from, whereas I've done collarbones before and similar stuff, and it was, you know, a couple of months and I was back up and, you know, back in the gym, that sort of thing. And now it's, if I hurt myself, it takes forever to heal, so I don't want to do it anymore. And yeah, that's pretty much it, really. I actually need to go to Asda, and the road that I wanted to go down was closed. Now I have to go this completely bog Irish way, and I'm sure there's a way that I can get down that way, but I don't have any fucking idea where it is. And yes, my bike does need a clean. Yes, my bike does need a clean. It is disgusting. That's because I only got back from my trip to Wales on Tuesday. I was working on Wednesday, then I had to go into London, so I opted to ride my bike into London and back on Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday I was down visiting my folks in my car to Plymouth, and it's Monday now. So rather than sit cleaning the bike, I figured I'd go out for a ride with it before I clean it again, because it does need cleaning desperately. Everything's dirty on it, but it is a used bike, and, you know, as I say, I've put on 2,500 miles on this thing now, and I'm starting to really enjoy it. Tunnel. Such a child. And I'll report back what it's like, you know, aftermarket exhaust with a tune. I'm not putting on an aftermarket air filter on this bike. I don't feel it needs it, or I certainly don't need it. What I am intending on doing is there is a doobree which firms up the gear shifter rod that comes out of the engine, or comes out of the gearbox, not the engine. I'm planning on getting one of those because I have got a couple of false neutrals, which I thought was just me being crap. It turns out it's a common thing on these bikes. So, and there's a component which costs about 40 quid and it solves it, and yeah, I'm going to order one of those. In other news, doing the full midlife crisis thing that I'm doing, I've bought myself another bike. This one is not quite as new and fancy as this one. The new bike is a Yamaha XS400. It's a 1979 US import non-runner that's basically going to come to me in a big box, and it's going to be a project, and I know I'm getting myself into all sorts of bother around stuff somebody else has worked on, not knowing all the bits and pieces and that side of things, but I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm going to like playing with it, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm planning on not doing the traditional cafe racer. I actually want to turn it into a scrambler, because I'm not a big fan of the riding position of cafe racers because of, you know, I think I mentioned before, I've got a knackered back. So yeah, I'm going for a scrambler style XS400. I will probably post some videos of that. I don't know if anybody's going to be interested in watching someone who doesn't know how to build a bike try and build a bike, and there'll probably be lots of swearing, crying and shouting and throwing things. But if that kind of thing tickles your fancy, have a look at the upcoming videos. Then I'm not like trying to be a YouTuber or anything like that. I'm just having fun, and I'm just sharing that I'm having fun with my bikes. And yeah, and there's other stuff that I do as well, which I think I've put up a video of me arsing around with some old tools and bits like that, or an oiler is the only one that's gone up. But yeah, I like restoring old tools and stuff like that, and just generally dicking around in the garage, which I've, you know, if any of that is of interest, you know, give a like and a subscribe. If not, don't. I'm cool with it either way. And we're off again. Well, we'll be off again in a minute. I have my drugs, which are related to the aforementioned accidents, which happened years and years and years ago. They do a waddle. Waddly, 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 waddly. So I love this helmet. It's the Bell Eliminator. I love it, except for the helmet is an absolute pain in the arse. So sorry, not the helmet, the visor. The helmet's great. It's a really nice fit for someone with a potato head like me. What I don't like is the visor mechanism is like this plastic stop that sticks out, and you've got to force it over, and the visors are really thick because it's got the Pro Shield in it, which stops it from misting up, which is awesome, but it's also a pain in the arse to open and close the visor. And also it's highly annoying if you want to change the visor, because the only way you can do it is with 2 Allen keys. So you can't just clip on one, clip off another or anything like that, and there's no built-in sun visor or anything like that. So if you want to change the visor, you need to carry a couple of Allen keys around with you. I mean, I keep a silver visor on this one, a mirror visor, and I only ride it during the day. Basically, I only use this lid during the day. I've got a Shoei GT Air 2, which I use if I'm, you know, riding really long distances or anything like this. But this is just a pottering around, and I've only just put the mic and bits like that in this lid, so I don't know what the sound quality is going to be. I'm expecting it to be a bit more noisy and a bit more blowy, and if that's the case, I'll just take the mic out and I won't use this lid again when I'm talking shit to nobody. So yeah, one of the reasons why I went for the, or another reason why I went for, start that again. Another reason why I went for the CB650R are the components and accessories. So all the extra little bits and pieces that are, oh, that's very nice of you all, thank you. So lane filtering still scares the shit out of me as a new rider. Mostly because I don't want to break off people's wing mirrors, because I'm not that guy. So yeah, it's the components and the quality of the components. So versus things like the MT-07 and SV650 and things like that, this thing has yeah, it is Showa forks on it, and it's got the big piston ones, and it's dual function forks. So one thing is the springs in one and rebounds in the other, I think. So it's got decent suspension. It's got much better brakes than anything else in the class, I think. And it shows when you are riding it a little bit quicker, and when you are pushing it, it's so confidence inspiring. You do just set off thinking, my god, this feels good. And I didn't get that on the other bikes that I tried, and I think as a new rider, this has got ABS, it's got traction control, I think that's it for electronic. Oh, it's got a slipper clutch as well, or slip assist clutch. So it's very forgiving. So if I drop it down the wrong gear and I don't rev match properly, I'm not going to lose the back end, because the slip assist clutch is going to eat all of that up. I've not turned off traction control because, again, I'm not at a point in my riding ability to be confident turning off traction control, so that stays firmly on. And ABS as a new rider and a street rider, I would say it's probably essential. I don't see a reason why you wouldn't have ABS unless you're like off-road all the time and stuff like that. I don't think you can turn ABS off on this bike, which I don't think I would ever want to, but that's fine. It's people can do whatever they want with the tools that they've got. This lady really doesn't want me to be in front of her, does she? So yeah, new toys, better technology. Oh, she's having a really bad day. My god, you miserable cow.